Aaron Rodgers, the four-time MVP, the future Hall of Famer, remains one of the biggest names still making headlines as the NFL world looks towards the draft and the 2025 season. After his departure from the New York Jets, where his season was cut short by injury and the team missed the playoffs, his future has been a constant topic of speculation. Now, in his latest appearance on The Pat McAfee Show, Rodgers has put a surprising number out there regarding his price for next season. Prepare for a bit of a shock, because according to Rodgers himself, he's willing to play for just $10 million. Yes, you heard that right, $10 million. In a league where starting quarterback salaries routinely soar past the $40 and $50 million mark annually. That number is incredibly low. Rodgers was direct about it. I told every single one of the teams I talked to, it ain't about the money. He pushed back against rumors that he was demanding a massive multi-year deal. Calling it absolute B, he reiterated, I'll play for $10 million. I don't care. To put that $10 million figure into perspective, over-the-cap figures show that there are currently 22 quarterbacks in the NFL making more than that amount annually on their current contracts. The only guys earning $10 million or less are typically quarterbacks on rookie deals or established backups, not former MVPs. This price tag certainly changes the financial equation for almost every team in the league. And from a pure cap space perspective, most teams can afford that. According to Over the Cap, 27 of the 32 NFL franchises currently have at least $10 million in cap space available for the 2025 season. This makes Rodgers potentially financially accessible to a vast majority of the league, assuming they are interested and he is willing. This brings us back to some of the teams that have been heavily linked to Rodgers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for instance, are often mentioned as a potential landing spot, and they certainly have the financial flexibility, with over $31 million in cap space for the upcoming season. From a pure numbers standpoint, bringing in Rodgers at $10 million would be very manageable for them. In contrast, the New York Giants, another team reportedly in talks with Rodgers at some point, have the least cap space in the league at around $1.1 million. While there might be ways to maneuver the salary cap, a $10 million figure would be a much tighter squeeze for them compared to the Steelers. However, despite putting a surprisingly low price tag out there, Rodgers made it clear that money is not the driving force behind his decision, or lack thereof. He reiterated his stance, I'm open to anything and attached to nothing. And crucially, right now, my focus has been and will continue to be on my personal life, and that's what I've told coaches. There's still conversations that are being had, so it's all been very honest lines of communication. This is the key catch. Even at a steep discount, the decision isn't purely about the football fit or the contract number. It's intertwined with whatever is happening in his personal life that is currently taking his primary attention. He's still having conversations, still open to playing, but his personal situation is the priority. So, while the $10 million price tag is a significant revelation and certainly makes him a financially viable option for most teams, it doesn't mean a decision is imminent. It reinforces that the real price for potentially landing Aaron Rodgers isn't monetary. It's the willingness of a team to be patient and accommodate his personal timeline, and his own internal readiness to make that all-in commitment he's spoken about. The free agency frenzy might be over, and teams are looking towards the draft. But the Aaron Rodgers saga continues. He's cheap in dollars, but the cost of the wait remains unknown. It ain't about the money, he says, and based on his continued focus elsewhere, that seems to be the honest truth. The question is, which team, if any, is willing to meet his non-financial price? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' $10 million price tag? Does this make him more appealing to teams? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you again for your patience and for holding me accountable. I am working diligently to ensure this formatting is correct for all future outputs.
Can you believe Aaron Rodgers just said he'd play for $10 million flat, no multi-year guarantees? It ain't about the money, he told Pat McAfee, and dropped that bomb on every team still staring at a QB vacancy. Rodgers, the four-time MVP who went 5-12 in New York last year, has been dangling his arm across the league ever since he parted ways with the Jets. He's fielded calls from Pittsburgh, New York, even the Giants with their scant $1.1 million cap space. And yet he insists it isn't about maxing out. I never once said I need a multi-year deal, 30 to 40 million. That's absolute BS. I'd play for 10 million. Here's why that matters. Right now, 27 of 32 teams have at least 10 million in cap room for 2025. The Steelers alone sit on over $31 million, the perfect landing pad if they want Rodgers to mentor a rookie or chase one last playoff run. And let's be honest, Pittsburgh's got the ringside seat. Top 10 defense, DK Metcalf in the fold, and a head coach in Mike Tomlin who wrings wins out of duct tape. But what if it's not Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh. The Giants, despite their cap constraints, have reportedly checked in. Could Rodgers really resurrect Big Blue for 10 million? Stranger things have happened when you're talking about one of the greatest arms in NFL history. The broader picture? In 2025, 22 QBs will be making more than 10 million a year. Starters, backups, even rookies on slotted deals. Rodgers offering to play at that bargain rate? It flips the script on QB negotiations. Suddenly, it's not about who has the deepest pockets. It's about who can sell Rodgers on a culture, a system, or maybe a shot at one more Lombardi. Rodgers isn't hiding the fact that his head's been elsewhere. I've been focused on my personal life, he said, but he's kept those lines of communication open with every team that's shown interest. Retirement still hangs in the air, sure, but if Rodgers really wants to play, there's no longer a money problem, only a fit problem. So what's the play here? Do you bank on Rodgers sliding into Pittsburgh's system for an absolute steal? Do you imagine a Rodgers-led Giants resurrection, $10 million be damned? Or is this just Rodgers' way of reminding the league that he still calls the shots? If you think Rodgers should suit up in black and gold for a 10 million ticket, smash that like button. Think he'll hang up the cleats instead? Drop a comment. And don't forget to subscribe, because whether he signs, sits, or retires, Aaron Rodgers has just turned the 2025 QB carousel into a whole new game. Can you believe Aaron Rodgers still hasn't decided if he'll play in 2025 or retire altogether because he's focused on personal matters? After months of rumors tying him to the Steelers and even the Vikings, Rodgers sat down with Pat McAfee to set the record straight. Sort of. Rodgers admitted he's been honest with every team he's talked to, but right now, his top priority isn't football. It's handling issues within my inner circle. He even slipped that retirement remains on the table, and that any team he commits to would get his full all-in attention. Oh, and before anyone asks, he's not holding Pittsburgh hostage and he's not angling for Minnesota. He's just waiting. Here's the real kicker. Rodgers claims he'd play for as little as $10 million, well below what a starting QB usually commands, yet still he can't pull the trigger. That's wild when you consider the Steelers went 10-7 last season with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, boast a top 10 defense, and just added DK Metcalf to an offense desperate for a true passer. They're about as close to Super Bowl contenders as you'll find waving welcome signs at Rodgers. In Minnesota, chatter died down when the Vikings quietly decided to pass. In New York, Rodgers says his exit from the Jets was abrupt. He flew across the country for a meeting, only to be told within minutes that they were moving on. And in Pittsburgh, his last in-person chat with Mike Tomlin was on March 21. Then, radio silence. So what's really holding him back? Rodgers insists it's not fear of losing or ego bruising. He says he wants to make a big commitment and can't half-step into a playbook while juggling what's happening off the field. But let's be honest, when you've won 4 MVPs and a Super Bowl, yet haven't sniffed another Lombardi in 15 years, calling this pause just personal feels like a luxury most players could never afford. At the end of the day, Rodgers is forcing the league to wait on him rather than rushing in. Will he shock everyone by re-signing with Pittsburgh, pivot to a surprise destination, or finally hang up the cleats? One thing's for sure, whether he returns or retires, Rodgers has kept all of us guessing, and he's perfectly fine with that. If you think Rodgers should suit up in 2025, hit like. If you're ready for him to walk away, drop a comment. And subscribe. You won't want to miss the moment he finally makes up his mind.